Hello and welcome to this edition of Eduleader Speaks. It is a great pleasure to have with us Dr. Vandana Lulla. Dr. Lulla is the director and principal of Podar International School. And thanks to a holistic approach, it is one of the best schools in Mumbai's suburbs today. She is also the director of the Podar Group of Schools, and she is the dean of the Podar World College. So that's a lot on your plate, Dr. Lulla. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us and know your opinions.
Thank you, Dipta. Thank
Okay. Where would you place education on your list of national priorities?
So, if you ask me on my list of national priorities, I would place education at the top because I think if we look at what's happening today, education is the basic need, and if education is there, only then the country can go beyond. It's very, very important that the focus for the national priority is always going to be education and should be at the top.
Dr. Lula, last year, the year of the pandemic has brought its own challenges to educators across the country.
Mhm.
What is your assessment of the past year? And what do you think about the response given by educators to the K-12 educators to the pandemic?
So, if you look at what happened in the last academic year, even though there were major challenges, not only in the country but around the world, but I think the in the field of education, all schools, all educationists really faced the challenges in spite of all the limitations that were there. And everybody crossed all limits to make sure that learning doesn't stop in schools. So learning continued in schools, whether it was synchronous or asynchronous. Most schools did very well. Teachers adapted to the new technology very well and went on. There is a rural India and there is children in the rural India, and I'm sure lakhs of children went with no education. So there is another side of India that I'm sure got neglected in this pandemic and have lost a whole year of learning, which is sad.
You have been a strong proponent of including technology into the curriculum. You have also come out with a paper with on the topic. So what is your prescription to make Indian education digital ready?
Free internet, okay, I think is the key if we have to really get India digital ready, and the low cost smartphone. These are two things if we have to reduce the gap and give access to education for all.
Dr. Lula, we have a new Union Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan. What would you say should be his top three priorities with regards to education?
So my only message to Union Education Minister, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, is to make India digital ready
Great.
and to make sure that the curriculum that is provided to the students around this country definitely includes the 21st century skills.
Okay.
And I think the most important skills are communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and so on. And also to bring up the level of government schools. I think that's my clear message to the union minister.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, how would you describe your leadership style?
That's an interesting question. I think I am democratic, inclusive, and I empower leaders. I make sure that all my leadership team, all my teachers, and my students are tomorrow's global digital citizens to make sure that they all are empowered with all the skills that are required, all the 21st century skills that are required. And my only goal in education is quality education for all children. So I make sure that when anybody comes to me with any problems, how do I find solutions? How do I make sure that they come up with their own solutions? And how do we take quick decisions to make sure that it benefits and it's a win win situation for all?
what is your prescription for students to become global citizens? What are the qualities that you would say that must have qualities for being a global citizen?
It's very important for us to make sure that children have a curriculum which has global issues
Yeah.
and where they come up with solutions, they suggest solutions, and they come up with ideas that how we can solve these global issues, how we can make sure that the UN goals, what we say, the SDG goals that are there. We have 17 SDG goals very clearly written down, and they're looking at 2023. So I think it should be made mandatory in the curriculum for students to come up with ideas, to solve these issues, suggest solutions, and give them a lot of choices in curricular and co-curricular activities. There are gifted kids, there are kids who are here, and there are kids who are really trying to get there. So, how do we create a curriculum that's meeting the needs of all students? And I think that's something that will create these global citizens.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Coming to Podar International School, how satisfied are you with the development and the growth of the school?
So I am absolutely thrilled and satisfied and happy and very, very glad about the entire growth of Podar International School for the last 20 years that I've been with this school. I think it has just grown leaps and bounds. I still remember my first day at school and the kind of challenges that I had. The Indian curriculum board that it was moved it to the Cambridge curriculum, then moved it to the IB curriculum, and made sure that there is quality education and the curriculum is enhanced and progressed constantly. So we do have courses in the curriculum that touch upon the most important aspects of artificial intelligence, robotics, and at the same time esports and enterprise and entrepreneurship. So keeping in mind the trends in education, the school has grown and we have made sure that we build, but I think there's still a long way to go.
Okay,
The journey never ends.
so true. Okay, ma'am. Some very quick questions. What is your favorite book on education?
Professor John Hattie's book on visible learning and Dr. Carol Dweck's book on growth mindset.
A thinker or a philosopher you admire greatly?
I relate myself with Mary Query. As a child, I was very inspired when I studied about her in school and her research. I was awed by the fact that she was always ahead of times, and she was the first women Nobel laureate. And I think I derive a lot of inspiration from her. I always feel, like I said, nothing stops me. And defeat is not in my dictionary. I always feel I can achieve. I have the power to make the change. And once I decide to do something, I will definitely achieve it. There's no going back.
Lastly, pessimistic or optimistic about Indian education?
I'm sure that I always feel that definitely optimistic. I see that there is a hope for India and there's a bright future, of course, for India. And it's important for us to take initiatives, government to take initiatives, and definitely as educationists, if we have to really move the country ahead, there is a future. We all can work collaboratively, and I'm very optimistic about it.
So, on that optimistic note, we take your leave. Thank you very much. It was very interesting speaking to you, as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.